Segment 5, final segment. The man on the Harley. You've worked for two presidents, Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush. You're a student of American history. Who are your heroes? In American history, who are your heroes?
Oh, so I can't start with Duke Snyder, huh?
I wanted to cut that one off right away.
Yeah. Washington. And in American history, Washington, and this one will surprise you because it surprised me, U.S. Grant. Wouldn't have told you that till a few years ago, but I've been reading a lot more about him, and he was underestimated both as a general and as a man. Teddy Roosevelt with qualifications. And Eisenhower. And Eisenhower.
And Eisenhower.
Eisenhower for sure.
Okay, you just named 4 tough hombres. I'm trying to find the theme here. You just named 4 men's men, strong figures, figures of action, people who got things done. Have I identified the theme there?
Yeah, well, how many people
you
do
look
you
at
have
accomplishment?
How many people have weenies for heroes? I mean, yeah,
All right. David Brooks in the New York Times. In early February, Governor Mitch Daniels of Indiana met with a group of college students. He told them there is an excellent chance he will not run for president. This is the GOP quandary. The man who would be the party's strongest candidate for the presidency is seriously thinking about not running. Daniels and Obama could have a great and clarifying debate. What exactly are the paramount problems facing the country? What is the government's role in solving them? I, says David Brooks, hope Daniels gives us a chance to be part of that. Close quote. Well, how are you going to decide?
First, you need to know that I visited with those students because none of whom I'd ever met. They somehow spontaneously had gotten together in the social media way people do now, and on 50-some campuses had these organizations asking me to do
really?
This. Yes, and so I found out that a large number of them were going to be at that place where I gave the speech, and I didn't want to come and go without thanking them. I'll tell you what I told them. I did say that, as I've said to many others, I've not decided not to do this, but I certainly have not decided to run for office, national office. Had never really thought about that till recently. What I wanted them to know is how much I appreciated, first of all, their confidence, and that I urged them in the event I didn't run. I said, you've got to rebrand and keep moving forward. It's the young people of America whose interests are most threatened by the mistakes that we continue to make or the problems we continue not to address. And so that's why I was visiting with them and gave them an honest assessment. Yeah, very well may not. Peter, we go back. And
could I just back? We do go back. So there you were, president of North American operations at Eli Lilly, one of the finest companies, best places to work, most admired corporations, year after year after year. Lilly ranks right up there. You had a huge job, 30,000 people overseeing them, operations on an entire continent. You were making very good money. Forget about running for president. I don't understand why you stepped down to run for governor.
Well, of course I didn't. I got a phone call and then another and asking me to come into the Bush 43 administration.
Right.
And
but you could have gone back to Lilly, or go ahead.
And that's what I thought I'd do. Life led in a different way. But even after I surprised myself and agreed to run for governor of Indiana, never ever thought beyond that. I thought it would be a useful thing. I saw my state not just slipping sideways but sinking, and I thought that, and a lot of us thought, that we ought to organize ourselves and go try to make the place a better state, a more prosperous state for those who came after. And that's all I ever set out to do was 4 years, maybe 8 years, working hard on that, and that's what I've been doing.
So let me put it to you the other way around. You made some good money at Lilly. You're term limited as governor. Why wouldn't you run for president? You're confident enough, as best you could say to yourself, you could sort of think of it in terms of offering yourself to the American people. Here are the issues you care about. Here's what you know how to do. You see the budget as a red menace. If enough folks agree with you, you'll take the job.
Peter, two things. I mean, one is, aside from those who really just have an incredible personal obsession or passion with it. It is an incredible undertaking, and not just for you, but you drag your family along with you.
Right.
It's a savage jungle out there. I hope we're going to change this eventually. It's something else I've appealed to folks that agree with us on most things is, let the other side be the people with the hate speech. You can't outdo them anyway. But for the moment, it is a very, very awful endeavor, and not something to be done lightly, at least by someone who has always thought of public service as something that where a citizen pays rent to this wonderful nation of ours, someone once said. Go and do your service and go back to your plow. And that's what I've always intended to do, and it's not, you don't just lightly toss that aside and take this on.
Last question, whether you run or not, here's the last question. James Glassman, writing in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago, quote, "The relative economic standing of the United States is declining. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that U.S. growth will average little more than 2% over the next 70 years, compared to about 3.5% during the second half of the 20th century. This is a stunning decline," close quote. Economic decline, if only relative decline, it's decline. The rise of China, the threat of radical Islam, Iran in pursuit of nuclear weapons, North Korea already in possession of nuclear weapons. Now, you spoke a moment ago about meeting with some college kids. What do you say, particularly to kids, but to any Americans who say, the wheels are coming off this project. The United States of America's best days are behind it. What do you say?
I say the wheels are a little wobbly. Let's get the lug nuts and the wrench out and fix this thing. It is fixable. But it really is, we've discussed most of the main elements, most of the lug nuts we have discussed here. I personally believe they are entirely practical, and I think they are politically practical once Americans understand the facts, and in their new, I think, more sober mindset that you just described. And what I would say and do say is, if we simply get on with this, there's no country on earth I'd trade places with. America's possibilities are tremendous. Unless we allow our self-inflicted wounds to injure us too severely in the near term, in the next few years, when we can still deal with them. And so, China, no, I wouldn't want China's problems. They have their demographic problems, the inevitable difficulty they'll have trying to maintain authoritarianism with rising income standards. Europe, heaven's sakes, the Islamist societies are a profound danger and need to be watched, I think, and dealt with as a security threat. But they're not an economic threat. They're going to have to change dramatically ever to really rise much above where they are. So I think that Reagan comparisons are so dangerous, Reagan era comparisons. But we were in a very desperate position. Some folks have forgotten how desperate in the late 70s and in 1980. And it did take very substantial action. But having taken that action, look how we had 3 decades of fabulous success and growth. And I think that that same sort of thing is possible again, but not if we dither, not if we shrink back.
Mitch Daniels, 49th Governor of the great state of Indiana, now recovering from rotator cuff surgery. Thank you very much.
Enjoyed it.
I'm Peter Robinson for Uncommon Knowledge. Thank you.